conferencing and we cannot get this darn thing to work.
We had a few technical difficulties, but it's okay. Miss Denise is here.
Oh, Lord. Oh, my
We
goodness. Out the window, honey.
We made it. We like to welcome everyone to Happy Hour. In our case, it's Hour with Human Resources because we're the HR twins.
Yes.
And we have our guest, Miss Denise Marcia is in the house.
Hey,
Cheers. Clink, clink, clink,
hey,
clink.
girls. Click, click. Oh, it's so good to see y'all again. Oh, my
So good to see you.
Thank you.
We've been counting down to this all week because we're like, oh my gosh, everybody needs to know a Miss Denise Marcia, okay?
Shut up, girl. Yeah, I got all dressed up, honey. Let me tell you something. I put on everything I possibly could. I got 3 necklaces on. I got earrings. It's just been such a long time since I had a chance to get dressed.
I know. I got a rhinestone necklace, a secret.
Right. I got on the full-length gown just for you, Miss Denise.
Thank you, baby.
I got on the whole gown.
I know it. I be feeling like doing that just to go to the mailbox, honey.
Right. First of all, let us talk about how Miss Denise has been knowing us since we were like 20 years old.
Yes. So wait a minute. When you say it like that, child, I sound like I'm 106.
But
Oh,
and we'll be 40 this year.
Oh,
So
yeah.
Here she go. But I remember the plates you used to bring over to me. Your mama be cooking.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh yes. And then when we thought about when we were starting this and so want to talk about etiquette when we're doing social distancing and all that. We were thinking to ourselves, who could we get to speak on that? We don't know anybody else except Miss Denise Marcia.
Okay.
Oh.
And guys, if you don't know who she is, you better Google her.
Oh.
Yep. Just Google Miss Denise Marcia of Image Essentials.
You sound like I am somebody, honey.
You are somebody.
We got a celebrity here.
Right.
So,
All right, girl.
We've had a few technical difficulties, but that's okay. But we are gonna get started with talking to you about all the things you've been doing.
Yes.
You know, to be a fabulous, fabulous presenter and just a queen of etiquette. So we want to chit chat with you about some things we can tell our audience about, you know, the times we're living in and get some tips. But I know Carla, she has some questions about you first, so we can so our audience can get to know you.
Yes. Okay. So when and why did you start Image Essentials?
I went through so much. I'm sorry, baby. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go.
That's okay. No. Go ahead.
Okay. I went through a couple changes with this Image Essentials. It started out as Essentials, a personal development company. No, it started out as Essentials, the artist development company. My degree is in theater.
Right.
And I got out of show business, got into the gospel music industry as an executive doing some A&R for Black gospel. And that's when I realized that church kids back in that day, they could sing, flatfoot sing, but they just did not have the business protocols that were necessary to actually want to give contracts to. That makes sense. I mean, they couldn't shake hands. They didn't really know how to introduce themselves. And I wanted to help in that area. And that was just one track. So I was also putting together the artist development company, which had the first track was just stage dynamics, how to connect with your audience via the stage and reaching that last person in the last row. So I wanted to do that. And I found that there were a lot of people who wanted my help, and I gave it to them. But a lot of people, most folk ain't want to pay for it. So that was one of my issues. But But I love being able to help people. So started out with the artist development company, and that sort of segued into my having a personal development company. A sister from my church who is also an etiquette coach. Hope you're watching. Um, Dr. Sandra Hope. No, it was Anna. Anna was the other etiquette coach person, and she was the one telling me, you need to, maybe we can do something together. And we went to our church, which at that time was Born Again, and we did an etiquette session for the ladies of Born Again. So
Okay.
excited about that. Yeah. And a sister who was in the church, who is also the honors director for TSU, said, I need you
Right.
to come to my school. Boop, boop. Are you
Yes, you-
I made a presentation to the honors directors of all of the colleges throughout the HBCU circuit. So they started hiring me, and Virginia State was the first school.
Wow.
Hampton University was the second school, and I started doing this circuit in HBCUs.
Mhm.
So, I just fell in love with the students, and I found that, it was our students who needed this information.
Mhm.
So,
Right.
having worked in corporate America, especially like in the gospel music industry, I was an executive in the industry, and I saw some things that were going on there that you really had to know how to navigate the industry.
Right.
So I learned and I wanted to share, and so it just it sort of kind of grew from that, and I ended up in now I'm in Richmond. I spent 30 years in Nashville, and now I'm in Richmond, Virginia, and I love it down here. Oh, it's
Oh,
so
good.
yes, I love it down here. And I've changed now from the artist development to the personal development to now image building,
Mhm.
and primarily talking to entrepreneurs and conference attendees and like that, and a lot of women.
Mhm.
So it's been very, very cool. Still growing the business here. It's a little bit different,
Mhm.
Yeah.
but I am loving it.
Oh, good.
Cool. So you've been doing this for a long time, and we're here at year 2020. So I have a question for you. Is etiquette dead?
Girl, no, it really isn't. Because what we're talking about now is being kind to people, especially, going through the COVID-19 and all like that. And it is not dead. People are helping people. People are being a little bit more courteous. Although I'm finding personally that people are not talking to people as much because we have
Yeah.
this social distancing thing going on, right?
Right.
So people are just not engaging with one another. Now we're wearing the masks, and it's just, it really separates us from people, and I hate that, because etiquette really is about interacting with other people and being courteous and kind to other people. But no, etiquette is not dead. The fact that, I guess, calling it etiquette, yeah, etiquette, it's interesting because etiquette is actually a French word, and it
Mhm.
means tag or label. And I say that etiquette is how we label ourselves for the
Hmm.
world to see. So it's, the way in which we comport ourselves in our different arenas, be it the corporate, um, setting, or look, a ballpark. We
Right.
we handle ourselves differently, and that's what etiquette is all about. But the
Right.
bottom line is always being courteous and being kind.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I have a follow up. I mean, where I even if I go out of the house and I'm walking down the street, even when we take a walk in the neighborhood, right? Our neighbors will be walking past and we go like this. Like,
Right.
I mean, it's like, you know, how do we be courteous and still greet our neighbors and still, be polite if we're trying to like stay 6 to 10 feet apart? How do we do that?
You know what? That's a great question. And I think that etiquette is always evolving. And we are definitely in an evolvement period right now. So I really think that it is something that we're going to have to learn how to engage in a disengaged society. And especially when we're wearing the mask and people can't see our expressions, if we're smiling or if we're
Yeah.
angry, so we have to use our eyes a lot more. And, and if you're smiling, your eyes smile. So, it's easy. It's not easy. It's a little bit more difficult nowadays. So when you see someone, you always want to acknowledge them. So if you can't speak to them, you can nod your head, and just say, stay safe, stay healthy, and that's basically what I've been doing, is just trying to acknowledge people.
Okay.
Yeah.
We actually have a question, and I think you kind of touched on this from our audience. How would you suggest encouraging people to communicate? And I think you were just honing in on that, on using your eyes and all of that nonverbal communication.
Yeah, we're going to have to encourage people. You want to help people. So it's, how can you help? If you see somebody who's struggling, say going to the store, and you see someone who's struggling to reach something on a shelf, help them reach something on the shelf. Just be engaged. Watch your surroundings. Be involved in your surroundings. You want to be able to, when you acknowledge someone, use your voice, even though it's behind a mask. It's, how are you? Are you good? I do that just to deflect crazy people. Just,
How are you? Are you good?
are you good? They look at you crazy, they ain't. But
I need you to back up.
exactly. But it's smiling with your eyes and it's acknowledging people. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. We just have to use other tactics.
From across the street, I'm borderline yelling, but it's in my southern roots, right?
Shonda, we see you. Yes. Hey, how you doing?
Exactly. It's the way. It's the, what's up? You good?
So, Denise Marcia, and I don't know why when we say your name, we have to say your whole name.
We never called you just Denise. We called you Denise Marcia.
Who do you think, just even prior to this pandemic and all of your interactions with clients or potential clients, who do you think needs image building training or etiquette training the most?
In this day and age, I think it's entrepreneurs, because I think that's the realm that we're moving into. So many people are starting their own businesses now,
Yes.
right? And they're coming away from corporate. What's nice about corporate, of course, are the benefits, and you're gonna get paid. It's hard being an entrepreneur. This thing ain't no joke. You have to fend for yourself for everything. But I really think that is the area that we have to actually put ourselves out there a lot more than if you are working in corporate, because you represent the corporation when you work in corporate. When you're entrepreneur, you're representing yourself and your business, and you are the brand.
Yeah.
So, it truly is about, how do I present myself, make myself credible, and let people know that I am credible and that I am competent in this business that I've chosen. So yeah, it's really about, I think, the entrepreneur at this juncture, as well as the college student coming out of school and trying to decide what they want to do, start a career path, or, go to a corporation or work in a corporation. Makes sense?
Yeah, makes total sense. So we're talking about corporations, and we're talking being authentic and how to communicate. I don't know if you've seen some of the YouTube viral videos of people where video conferences have gone wrong. People are forgetting that the audio is on, and they're using the restroom, or they forget that the camera is on, and some people, they have on their bonnet thinking that they're signing into a audio only meeting. It comes up and it's a video. And you got your rollers and and hair clips in. So can you please give us some tips on how to best show up for video conferencing and presenting ourselves for work, or whether we're entrepreneurs and we're trying to talk to a client?
Yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right. It really is about realizing, even on video conferencing, if you treat it the same way as a face-to-face meeting, then you
Mhm.
really don't have those issues. Now, the problems that we have run across, of course, today, even are the
Right. Our technical difficulties.
technical difficulties, right? So, we have to, make sure that our hardware works, and um, our cameras work and all like that. We just didn't allow enough time, and to that I apologize. Um, but we are going to have to understand that this is a new way of communication, this whole video conferencing thing. And I'll tell you, I have fought it. I've been fighting it. And I hate that I've been fighting it, because I have some great friends who are like, no, let's just go with it. It's good. This is going
Yeah.
to be a good thing. And and it is. When I think about I think about video conferencing, I also think about when we went from vinyl records to CDs.
Mhm.
Oh, that was hard for the old folks, honey. The old folks like, honey, you ain't never gonna get rid of my record player. But it's it's the same thing now with video conferencing. We
Yeah.
are actually in our homes now, and we are conducting business, and we're making money from our dining room tables or our offices and like that. But we have to keep in mind that our professional reputation is at stake when we have this darn camera on. That's the very reason why I got my earrings on and my pearls. Just the very
Yes.
I'm dressed up. Because typically, honey, you don't even want to know what I look like
Oh, you
during
don't
this
want to know.
pandemic.
Yeah.
What's the funniest, not funniest, but the person that's been the biggest train wreck that you've had to coach? Like, what was the biggest project, or not project? I don't want to call people projects, but what's the most you had to overcome with a client as far as image building?
Oh, that's a great question. And I'll tell you, um, the most difficult thing is getting on the other side of the who that people think that they are. When
Ooh.
people sometimes have difficulty recognizing that they're in a wrong attitude or wrong space. Honey, that's me. That's just that's the way I am. Well, no, 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 no. That might be the way you are, but it ain't working. Like, is it working for you? It does when people listen to what I'm saying, it does, yeah. But no, see, that's not how the world works.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you realize that it's not working for you,
Mhm.
then you have to change your protocol. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, what is the right way? What's wrong with my tone?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mhm.
I didn't, I have one instance, and I was working in a bank, and I'm not going to say names, of course, but it was time for, what is it that y'all do? The recommendations that your businesses, that your supervisor does.
Mm-hmm.
What are those things called?
The performance appraisal or
That's
performance review.
yes, yes, yes. And oh, I love what that person just said. But so she came up to me and she said, I just got the worst performance review. And I was like, why? What happened? She said, well, my boss told me that I have a bad attitude. And I'm like, really? Well, do you? She said, I just looked at him. And I said, did you look at him with that face? And she said, well, yeah, I didn't say anything.
Yes, you did.
Yes, she
Nonverbal
did.
communication.
Yes, you
That's
did.
it. And that's what we have to learn, is there is a nonverbal communication that speaks louder than your words.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
See, so that's where I was. And I was like, well, sweetness, she was communicating to you that your tone and your look just your facial expressions were a detriment to
Mm-hmm.
your position. So, it really is about, we got to fluff all of that out, but we don't realize it until somebody says, "Oh, do you realize that you are frowning?" And you're like, "Well, you know what? I just frowned because my contacts are bothering me." But your frown is actually communicating that you're not pleased or you're not pleasant or you
Mm-hmm.
don't want to be here. Well, you're like, "Oh, okay. Well, now that I know." And that's what image building is about. It's
Right.
helping you recognize that there are areas of growth. Ain't nobody perfect, but the one
Oh,
that's sitting on the right hand
Right.
of God the Father.
I want to put a pin in that though. I see that point in terms of facial expressions and nonverbal communications sometimes because I've experienced this and I feel like I'm a very bubbly person. We're
Yeah,
little walking bubbles, Miss Denise, right?
that's right.
But
That's right.
sometimes in certain environments, I think that Black women specifically, I'm only speaking about Black women because I'm a Black woman, can get a preconceived notion or people can group us into a stereotype that we have RBF or we're not approachable. Heard that word a time or two. Or our nonverbal communication. Sometimes I feel like in certain instances I have to do extra with my face and everything. I do more and extra just because I don't want people to ascribe that stereotype or Black women are mean and all that some people can say, not everyone, but I do know that concept is out there. So I always wonder, like, you always want to be yourself
Yeah.
and you don't want to do extra just to, kind of move along with everyone else. But I mean, do you think that there's a stigma out there attached to Black women specifically about nonverbal communication and things like that? I'm talking more about corporate America.
Yeah. Yeah. Black women, Black men. Yes. All minorities. I mean, because there are things that are ascribed to us that we always have to downplay,
Mm-hmm.
and play against. Coming regarding stereotypes. And it's very true. And I always say, hate it, but face it. There are some
Ooh.
things that we
That's
do
a
have
that's
to
a
do.
statement.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
Miss
I
Denise,
go, what,
say that
baby?
again. Say it again.
What, hate it, but face it?
Yes.
Yes, that is good.
Yes, there are things that we are going to have to do in order to get to where we want to go in our lives and our careers and reach our goals. There's so many things. It's the way we wear our hair. It's the
Mhm.
Yes,
makeup that we wear. I mean,
yes.
you can go
That's
there.
another thing.
Hello.
The hair.
Hello. Yes, it's the hair, and it's the brothers and the dreads, and the sisters with the dreads, and it's the head wraps, and it's all of these different things. It depends always on your audience. I mean, I hate to say it, it's your audience. Now, if you work in a corporate environment, say a law firm or a bank, those are considered conservative industries. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, there's an established protocol. So you probably will have to wear a suit if you're a gentleman and a tie if you're a gentleman. Women, you're going to have to dial back the blue eyeliner and all of the stuff that we love to do. Honey, I love me some makeup and all like that and wear different hair.
Yes.
But sometimes we have to dial that back because it sends different messages that
Mhm.
that corporate America just they're trying to get used to.
Right.
But it's
But
taking them
that's
a little
crazy. It's 2020. Why isn't corporate America? I mean, I've worked with people that are not minorities that roll out of bed, that have blue hair or purple hair. I
That's
mean,
right.
why isn't it's 2020? Why isn't corporate America ready for not only diversity in terms of the staff, but diversity in terms of ways that people express themselves in terms of how they dress and how they do their hair? I just don't get that. We're so into the future,
Yeah.
from when we were born, everything. We're so into the future, but it seems like corporate America would be ready for just a change of hairstyle or something like that, but they're not, and you get penalized in some instances and in some environments for being who you are, for having the hair that grows out of your head that may just be a little bit more coarse than others.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And you know better than I do, being an HR professional.
Yeah.
So I know that you guys see it, and I'm sure that also you have to work within that parameter of being HR, that I guess you have to go in and fight the system and relax some things, right?
Yeah.
And until they are relaxed and the employee handbooks, are a little bit more relaxed, we have to go by what we know, and what we can. So I don't fight the system. I work with the system until I get to a level where I'm in the C-suite and I'm starting to make the rules now.
Right.
So when I start making the rules and I walk up in there with a head wrap, I double dog dare somebody to tell me something wrong. You see what I'm saying?
But it's upon us and also advocates who may not be minorities to use their seat at the table. If you're not going to use your seat at the table, you should get up.
Yeah. All right. Love
you
that.
Should get up and leave that to someone else that's going to influence positivity and equal and fair opportunities for everyone. Right.
And we did a post a couple of months ago where we posted different pictures of us with different hairstyles. And the question shouldn't be, how are you wearing your hair? The question should be, did I get the job done?
That's it.
The question. You're focusing on the wrong thing. And I do understand there should be some decorum and things that we can control, like whether I put on ripped jeans or a pair of slacks. That I can compromise with. But how I'm growing my hair, me personally, I wanted to start my hair locked a long time ago. But I was scared for about 6 or 7 years because I was afraid that I wasn't going to get another job. Because people were going to automatically assume things about me if my hair was locked. But, are you just looking at my hair? Are you looking at my resume? Are you looking at, I am probably, one of 15 interviewees that came here with the full suit on with stockings and pumps?
Right, stockings, yes.
So true. It's really scary for some people. I know some people don't care, but it's scary out there sometimes. But how do you think that you're talking about dressing and earrings? We can talk about hair. That's a whole different.
That's a happy hour. We're gonna need more whiskey for that one.
And we're gonna need more stuff in the cup because it's emotional.
It is. Oh, of course it is.
It's emotional. We have legislation called the Crown Act to come and say you're going to be held accountable if you're discriminating against someone in the way that they wear their hair. You're going to be held accountable. And it's not even passed in all 50 states.
Yeah. But the problem is improving it. Because some of these companies, baby, it could just be your name. Your resume doesn't even hit their desk if your name is, a designer name, as I call them.
Right.
That's a good way.
You know what I mean?
Designer name. I love that.
Right. So I mean, we have to just think outside of the box. So instead of me putting my designer name on my resume, how about I put my first 2 initials and my last name on my resume? We have to get around, and we're so good at that anyway. We get around some of these problems, but the companies, and I really think that it's softening a lot now. I have to say that it is softening a lot now. So we can wear the dreads, and we can wear our Afrocentric hairstyles. Now, when it does come to the wraps and things, if you're not Muslim and you didn't interview in your wrap, you need to be consulting your your employee handbook, your supervisor. I would like to wear wraps every now and again. Will that be a problem in my position? And of course, if you're not customer facing or depending on the position that you're in and the industry that you work in, if you are customer service, customer facing, that it's really important that you actually do, consult the handbook because you represent the company.
Right.
It's not until you become an entrepreneur that you represent, this is your brand. So if
Right.
I want to rock my braids, I will rock my braids.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? So it just depends on, where your check coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She
Hey,
said, I interviewed this summer with braids. I felt I wanted to be me day one. And that's a good
good for
suggestion
you.
too.
Yeah.
Show up how you want to be seen day one.
Exactly,
Yes,
exactly.
that's
Because
a
what you
good
don't
point.
want to do, and that's so good. Thank you so much, sister, because that is so good. Because so many of us, and I've seen this. I've seen so many sisters go into an interview and they got the braids, but they put on a wig for the interview. As soon as
Yeah.
they get hired, here come the wig come off and all these braids, and you're like, well, that's not what we hired, boo boo. So yeah, so be your authentic self. When you go into the interview, if that's how you are going to be throughout your career in that corporate environment, then baby, be it.
Yeah.
Be it, do it.
My co-
Be full on.
right. My coworkers, I probably in the past 5 years I've been at my job, I've probably had like, I don't know, 67 hairstyles.
Yes.
And I work in a very, very conservative environment. But
Okay.
my hair is always neat and professional. So I think that's all that matters, as long as it's neat and professional.
Yeah.
I went braids. I went to my interview with straight hair, and then I had crochet braids. When I went to meet the the team for Happy Hour, they were like, "Camille," and I was like, "Yeah,
Right.
hey, here I am."
Yeah,
So
you want to break them? You got to
I
break them in, girl.
right, I think as I've gotten older, I'm just more confident, and hey, this is me. But I
Yeah.
think some people early on in their career may not have as much confidence like I didn't have when I was more in my 20s and things like that.
Yeah, but you don't want to be deceptive,
Yeah.
So you have the braids, but you're gonna wear the wig because I'm gonna try to get the job with the wig, and then as soon as they say yeah, we want to hire you, let's do this onboarding process, and you walk in and you got your hair braided up, you're like princess, you know. But I worked in a job, y'all. I worked in a job, and it was in a record company, and I was on the third floor with the executive, and I was the only African American,
Mhm.
and I had my white friends, baby, but I would go into the I would go into the copy room each day. And I'm telling you, honey, I came out of show business, so I had different color hair, different cuts of hair, different everything, right? So my hair sometimes was long and straight, and sometimes it was short and blonde, and sometimes, baby, I walked into my copy room one day, and one of the execs looked at me and said, "Denise," and I said, "Yeah, yeah, how you doing today?" They said, "Well, you changed your look again." I said, "Yeah, yeah, I want y'all to think it's a lot of black people working here." It's like, oh, so I mean, comically, I let them know wasn't enough black people there, and comically. But by the same token, that's how I am, like you are. We just do different things with our hair, and I love that about us.
Yeah.
I have a question. So you talked to Camille, you mentioned being confident, and a lot of stuff has to do too on the way you present yourself with energy. Like, so when I
Yeah.
remember when I was 20 years old and we went to the same church, look, I can tell and feel when Miss Denise walked in that building.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, you
Yes.
know how at church where you have some ladies where you just got to turn your head to see. Oh, what she wearing? What she got on? What she doing? Oh, what she got on, a long duster? And then not only did she have that on, the energy that it takes to wear it and to look confident and to always, walk with that energy and confidence. Like you didn't have to say a word, not a word, not a word.
I
I
co-sign that.
But I do have a question. So you've had that energy for a long time, and it may come from your background in stage
yeah.
and drama, and you know how to carry that energy and confidence. Having that energy and confidence has that ever gotten you an opportunity?
It's gotten me an opportunity.
Have
Yeah.
you ever gotten an opportunity just by your energy you present and the confidence that you carry within yourself?
Oh, absolutely. It really has. To an extent that I'm like, I don't think I can do what you're asking me to do. One of the things, actually, the first thing after I got out of show business was being on the Dove Awards for which is like the Grammys of the gospel music industry.
Right.
And the man who was the chairman of it, and I would flit through the different conferences and like that, and they just knew me as Denise Marcia from from LA, and the chairman was an older man.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I want her to be on stage. And I'm like, on stage? He said, yeah, we need somebody just to walk the little Dove Award out and stand there. And this was before they were doing that. I mean, the Grammy girls were doing it, right? But
Right.
the Dove Award people weren't doing it. They said, we need somebody who has some presence just to walk out with the award and to stand there and just be beautiful. And I was like, me? Okay, then. So that was the first time. And I was so excited. I was like, shoot, I'm the Dove girl. Shoot.
Yes.
But it was because of my energy. That's the thing, that's what I was saying, my energy and the fact that I would smile a lot. But see, that's the thing. That's why I'm hating this whole pandemic of having to sit home, because I love to be around people. I love to hug and touch. That's one of my love languages, to touch and be touched. But so is gifts. That's my love language too. I love gifts.
Look, Amazon delivery still works.
Yes. See? Oh God, y'all are so silly. But yeah, so that was one thing, and I had been asked, well, do you do pageants? Do you, can you help us with a pageant? And I'm like, sure. I ain't never done a pageant before in my life, but I acted like I could, and I did. I would help with pageants, just helping people, just sit up, walk well, those kinds of different things. So yeah, but again, it has to be in you. I got a lot of nerve. That's what I got. I do. Somebody said gifts are nice.
Yes, you are nice, Christine.
We have another question from the audience. How should we handle the personal questions that make folks start to think that we may be more successful or fortunate?
How should we handle the personal questions that makes folks start to think we may be more successful? Oh no, you don't answer personal questions for people that you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You don't. Somebody says, "Oh, I love that ring, girl. How many carats is that?" If you don't know them, you don't answer. That is, first of all, that's not a question that should be asked, because that is personal. And what you mean, this 4 carat ring I have on? No, those kinds of questions. How much money do you make? Is that for real? Wow, how much did you pay for your house? Those are personal questions. So those are questions you like, you know what? I'd rather not answer that question. And you can always say no if you do it with a smile.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'd rather not answer that. And you can just say, honey, that ain't none of your business. So you don't want to hurt people's feelings, but you also don't want to get them You pick we don't talk about those kind of things. So, at work, people try to get into your business, and that's what the sister was asking. How do you handle those kinds of things at work? Same way. Simply say, I'm not comfortable answering that. You know what? That's not something you should be asking me, girl. Do you know that? Yeah, but it's just getting out of the situation without demeaning other people as best you can, because they strong and wrong. It don't make no sense for you to be strong and wrong as well.
We had another question from our audience. How can you adjust your tone? Going back to when you were talking about tone.
Yeah. It's it really is about your nonverbals, and I always suggest looking in the mirror and just going through a series of emotions. How do you look when you're angry? How do you look when you're sad? How do you look when you're happy? But adjusting your tone comes from breathing. You really have to breathe. Take a breath and think about what you're about to say. Is it going to hurt? Is it going to hinder? Is it going to help your situation? And use the same tone that was directed. I want to say directed at you, but it depends. Because if the tone was directed at you wrongly, it's a lot more difficult for you to maintain your cool. But what it means is, if you go off when somebody else is going off, both of y'all are at fault. As opposed to, if you keep calm when somebody else is going off, when their tone is horrible. If you can keep calm, you get the points. That that makes any sense. You get the points if somebody is watching you. Okay, that person is a lot more mature than I even give them credit for, because she ain't young. Now, I'm from the projects. I was born and raised in the Bronx, y'all. Yep, I'm Becky from the block. So, I had to really learn that. I was the old Miss Sophia. Get my children out of here. Get my children out of here. And then but anyway, it's just, it's about taking a breath, thinking about what you're about to say, and trying to say it in a soft way, saying it in a soft way. But this, hold up, or finger pointing, and all of this that we do when we go there in a corporate environment is very intimidating. And it really will not benefit you. So it's like, dial it back, go home, get into your meditation, get into your Bible, get you a cocktail if you need to, honey, and and just vent with a friend. But you don't want to go there in corporate.
Yeah, I've been doing that a while with emails as well too, because sometimes people will send you an email and then you're like, I gotta respond right away. I gotta take a minute.
That's exactly
walk
right.
away, leave it in draft, and then you'll come back and write a whole nother email.
Absolutely.
Because emails are documentation.
Absolutely. You better know it.
You definitely, and being on the HR side, me and Carla,
Hello.
is everything.
I keep everything.
Yeah. And especially if you want on a company computer. If you want a company computer, you better know it belongs to the company. So yeah, they can pull it up. Not only the email, but anything. It could be something that's romantic. Anything can be pulled up, and if you do not respond in a way that lets people see your character, then you can be charged just as guilty as the other person. So you're so right to step away for a minute, get yourself together, and then come on back and respond with, you don't need a lot of words. It's like, maybe we can talk about this and get away from the computer. I tell folks you have to taste your work. You have to taste your words. I tell folks you have to
Yeah.
taste your words. Oh, okay, yeah, you do. They got to taste their own words. But
Mhm.
it's really not our place to help them taste their words. Why do people? Can you see this thing that comes up on my screen?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know how to stop that. Uh, but but yeah, emails. That's a whole nother ballpark. But you're
Yeah,
right.
we're gonna have to have you back on for several
Oh, we got
different
so
subjects.
much to talk
So
about.
So
much.
much
Well,
to talk about.
Miss Denise, we can talk to you for hours and hours upon
Please,
hours.
please, please. I would love it. I love it. This
We
is my
definitely have to have you back on a couple of more times, and we might send you a a, a gift through Amazon Prime for
Okay.
your.
no girl. No. I was just kidding with y'all. Y'all are my babies, honey. But
But I'm saying,
anybody else who's watching? No, I'm kidding. No, honey, y'all are my babies. It's so good to see you guys. And
so good
your
to
ba-
Yeah.
my
you.
babies got babies. That's what I can't believe. I
I
can't believe y'all are
know.
married and got cheering. It's just beautiful.
Oh,
I
thank
know.
you.
Let's not forget how to keep in contact with Miss Denise Marcia. Her information is scrolling at the bottom. Her website is www.denisemarcia.com. Her Insta is Lady B to you. Her Facebook is Image Essentials with an exclamation mark. Don't forget the exclamation mark. Twitter at Manners Please. And her LinkedIn is Denise Marcia.
You are
So
so wonderful, Carla. Thank you, baby.
you want to make sure you reach out to her if your company is looking for someone to hold a class
Yeah,
through this social distancing, through this time where they need, tips on presentation skills, how to present when you're on video, and the best way to have your image crafted for a particular presentation. You want to reach out to her, tell
yeah.
your leaders at your jobs about her so they can reach out to her. She really is a good presenter, a
Oh,
good
We had
entrepreneur.
to get right. That's why we had to get right.
yeah,
And I had on my ball gown for
yeah.
Miss
And I got my sequence.
because
So,
if you see
Tommy
her in
John.
person and you talk to her in person, she is indeed the queen of etiquette, the queen of image
Uh,
building. She does not play, honey.
no, I won't, baby, because I have to tell you like it is. I got to tell you like it is.
She does. And we appreciate it. That's one thing about image building and etiquette. You have to be able to receive feedback.
Yes. Oh, I love y'all. Okay, we're gonna have to partner because I think I'm gonna need you to be on the stage with me. Both of y'all. You're gonna be my little bookends.
We want to thank everybody for participating. We had some audience
I
participation, some
love
good
that.
questions. We want
Thank
to
you
thank you
all
guys.
so much.
Thank you all so much for joining us. As usual, you can go to our Career Salon website. It's just thecareersalon.com. And then we're on all social media at The Career Salon. We got some good things cooking for the near future. So we hope that you all stay tuned for what we've got. And we're definitely going to have Miss Denise Marcia back in a
Oh
little
yeah,
while.
Yes.
Especially
Come on
once we
I'm
once
talking
we
about
get
like
out of this pandemic,
yeah,
we gotta learn how to reacclimate into the world.
I'm telling you, but you know what? It's not going to be the same. That's what we need to understand. It is not going to be the same when we are back in the world and we are interfacing with one another and interacting. It's not going to be the same,
yeah,
and that's what I'm really concerned about. To be honest, because I don't know what it's going to be,
Yeah.
but it's not going to be like it was.
Right. Well, let's
yeah.
raise our glasses for one little cheers before we go. Clink, 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 clink,
Clink, clink, clink,
clink.
clink,
Thank
clink.
you, Miss
Thank you
Denise.
so
Thank you for
much.
joining us.
I love you
We
We
love
love
madly.
you
you too.
too.
And we'll talk soon. Bye.
Bye.